Whilst Anwule was fast asleep, a group of people walked into her hut and snatched her out of bed. Anwule woke up terrified as she screamed at the top of her voice, trying to understand what was happening. She struggled to get away, but couldn't. The strange men brought her before the great tree, and Anwule wondered what she was doing there at that time of the night. She saw the elders, all gathered by the tree, and knew that they were up to no good. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Ibisu, lived a people who worshipped a very big tree. Legend has it that the tree was once a powerful man who was transformed into a tree to protect the village from any harm. The villagers for centuries have done everything within their power to protect and preserve the great tree. They made sacrifices of animals and even humans at its foot and carried out festivals to appease the tree. And for years, the tree had stood strong, thriving even in harsh weathers. However, the villagers woke up one morning to realize that the tree branches had begun to die. Everyone panicked as they feared what would become of their village if the tree finally died. The village elders gathered as they contemplated on what to do. They could not risk losing the tree, as this would lead to a great calamity in the village. They made several sacrifices to the tree, but nothing they did worked, and this troubled the elders, who were now running out of ideas. An elder named Mazi Kanayo stood up to suggest that a human blood sacrifice might be the solution to their problem. So the elders decided to sacrifice a virgin orphan girl by the tree to see if this would stop the tree from dying. They searched the entire village for an orphan girl who was still a virgin and found one who lived alone at the edge of the village forest. Her name was Anwule, and her parents and brothers died a few years ago in a ghastly fire accident. Anwule was so lucky to still be alive. Her mother had sent her to the stream to fetch some water when their entire house went up in flames, killing everyone in it. Anwule sat outside as she watched their hut burn to the ground, her heart sinking with each second that passed as she imagined the anguish that her family felt in the fire. Anwule was all alone, with no family or friends in the village, and the villagers kept their distance from her because they believed she was marked for misfortune, considering how her entire family died in a fire that no one knew its origin. The elders, during their deliberation, agreed to sacrifice Anwule to the tree because they believed she had no one to fight for her and was useless to the entire village. Is it not better that she dies and joins her family on the other side? They said, as they all agreed that no one in the village would miss Anwule because she has nothing good to contribute to the village. So on one night, whilst Anwule was fast asleep, a group of people walked into her hut and snatched her out of bed. Anwule woke up terrified as she screamed at the top of her voice, trying to understand what was happening. She struggled to get away, but couldn't. The strange men brought her before the great tree, and Anwule wondered what she was doing there at that time of the night. She saw the elders, all gathered by the tree, and knew that they were up to no good. The young men tied Anwule to the huge tree, and immediately they noticed something strange happen before their eyes. A great light emanated from the tree, and its dead branches began to heal. Everyone opened their eyes in shock as they had never seen something like this in their life. Anwule, seeing that the people were all focused on the tree, set herself free as she ran into the forest in fear. She ran as fast as she could, and the people ran after her with all their might. Anwule escaped deep into the forest and continued to run until she could no longer hear the sound of the villagers. Gasping for air, Anwule sat in a dark corner, her heart beating like a rolling drum. Exhausted and lost, Anwuli looked around her confused as she tried to wrap her head around the reason why the people decided to abduct her from her hut. Knowing how dangerous the village was for her, Anwuli decided not to return to her hut. She wandered the forest alone, terrified as she pondered on what to do. However, back in the village, the elders were so furious to hear that Anwuli had escaped. They watched in agony as the tree continued to wither before their eyes as they wondered where Anwuli could be. They searched the entire forest for days, but Anwuli was nowhere to be found. The entire village was now in a state of confusion and worry as the people dreaded what would become of them if Anwuli was not found. As they gathered next to the tree, deliberating on what to do, they heard a loud scream coming from the forest. A young hunter had captured Anwuli and was bringing her to the people. Everyone jubilated as they saw the hunter approaching with Anwuli. The elders, without wasting any time, gathered around the tree as the young men dug the ground to bury Anwuli alive. They tied her to the tree once again, but this time ensured that she was properly tied in a way that she could not escape. Anwuli struggled to break free but couldn't. She cried at the top of her voice, pleading for them to set her free, but no one paid any mind to her as they continued to dig her grave. Immediately, before their very eyes, the great light emanated from the tree again. This time, the light shone brighter, overshadowing Anwuli and blinding the people who found it difficult to look through the light. After a few minutes, the light died down and the people were confronted with a sight they never imagined possible. They saw Anwuli, unbound, standing next to a very handsome man who they later found out was the man trapped in the huge tree that they worshipped. Anwuli was so petrified as she wondered how this was possible. She stared at the young man, who thanked her for saving his life. Everyone opened their mouths in shock as they could not believe what they were seeing. The young man, whose name was Okechukwu, revealed to the villagers that he was the mysterious man in the tree who had transformed back to human. Okechukwu revealed that many years ago, a very wicked sorceress fell deeply in love with him. She tried everything possible to make him fall in love with her, but nothing she did worked as his heart belonged to another. Okechukwu had fallen deeply in love with another woman and was about marrying her when the evil sorceress used her evil power to turn him into a tree, saying that if she could not have him, no one else would. All efforts to turn himself back to human proved futile as he remained trapped in the tree for years, unable to escape. He watched as the villagers worshipped him and offered sacrifices to him and wished they could save him from the tree. He yelled for help every single day, but no one could hear his cries. So, he sat there hoping that one day he would roam the earth free again. What he did not know was that the sorceress put a limit to how long he would live. That was why the tree began to die gradually. Anwuli, not knowing what was happening, unknowingly saved him as her cries stirred an emotion in his heart that he had never felt for anyone before. It was true love, and this was the only thing capable of breaking the sorceress' curse. Anwuli was so shocked to hear this as she could not believe that Okechukwu was in love with her. Grateful for his newfound freedom, Okechukwu vowed to protect and stand by Anwuli's side. As he spoke, Anwuli's initial shock gave way to a deep sense of connection with Okechukwu. Despite the bizarre circumstances of their meeting, she felt a trust in him that she hadn't felt with anyone else since the death of her family. The entire village remained in shock as they watched the man who they had worshipped as a tree for all these years walk amongst them as a human. They decided to make him their king, owing to the fact that their last king died without an heir and the villagers struggled to find a worthy king. Okechukwu's miraculous return and his royal lineage as a descendant of one of the first royal families was seen as a sign from the heavens for him to reclaim the throne. During his coronation, Anwuli stood by his side as he asked her to be his queen, which she agreed, and the entire village jubilated as they celebrated their new king and queen. Anwuli was honored for her role in saving both the king and the kingdom, and this was how the poor orphan girl, who the people believed was useless and almost buried alive, ended up as their queen. The people, realizing their mistakes and the injustice they had done to their queen in the past, sought for her forgiveness, and Anwuli, seeing the genuine remorse in their apology, forgave them and reigned over them as queen. The lesson to be learned from this story is that no one is useless in life. Do not rule out a person because of their circumstances, as no condition in life is permanent. Treat people with respect and be kind to whoever you meet, regardless of their status. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.